Right, better late than never. I finally got around to watching Michael Mckinson versus Chris Kongo from last week. This is at the request of Hashman Boxing, who asked me to review the fight. Wasn't going to do it before he asked. To be honest, I wasn't going to watch it or review it. I heard it was a bit of a bore fest, but in the end, I was pleasantly surprised. So thank you, mate, for saying check it out because it was a good fight. I actually quite enjoyed it. It was a good level of skill. It wasn't a slobber knocker, but that's not what boxing's about. You know, I love the sweet science. This page is skills pays bills. So I want to see that type of boxing. Anyway, before we get into the clips of what I'm going to do to break down the fight, please get over to Hashman Boxing's YouTube channel, Hashman Boxing. Check his page out. If you like what I've got on this page, you'll love what he's got on his. Does reviews of the fights in the UK and further afield. So get over and subscribe to his page and be sure to get involved with his community over there, Hashman Boxing. Anyway, as for the fight, I think this come down to intensity. I really do. I think it come down to Mckinson's intensity, his desire, different angles of punching. He just really wanted it that bad, and I was really impressed by him throughout the fight, the way that he changed, the way he adapted, and we're going to break it down and see some of his skills and how he beat Kongo. So in this clip, you're going to see Mckinson land a cuffing left and a right hook. Nothing massive, but enough to unsettle Kongo. And when I say unsettle, he's already unsettled him earlier in the round. He's already jumped on him with an ambush attack. This was the early groundwork that I think won him the fight. Rounds 1 through to 3, Kongo did not recover. He looked unsettled. His intensity didn't match that of Mckinson. And Mckinson let him know, if you're going to come, you better come correct. And Kongo couldn't work out this puzzle until around about round 4, and then things started to change just a little bit, and then Mckinson changed that again. We'll go through that, but you'll see here a little bit of posing and posturing. Mckinson changes his look. He changes his looks. Kongo likes to drop feint. Go back to watch the Luther Clay video I did when he fought Luther Clay. He did it well against Luther Clay, but Mckinson had it sussed. So you see there, he drops his weight down. Mckinson's aware of that. He parries, and what if you look at Mckinson's body language, you'll know he's here, he's ready to shift back. Kongo becomes a little bit reckless, he tries to reach in, he gets caught with the left and the right hook. Kongo had a terrible problem all fight of punching in the short range. Mckinson was more adept and used different angles for his punches, not the textbook stuff that you get taught in the Lonsdale book, as Andy Clark kept banging on and on about. No, Mckinson throws typical southpaw punches, and he exposed Kongo in that range. You'll see Mckinson land an up jab, 45-degree angle, then he holds Kongo in place and then lands a cuffing left hook that drops Kongo. Watch the foot movement and watch the hand position of Mckinson. Once he edges into position and once his right glove's on the inside of the seam of the two hands, the two gloves of Kongo, he goes up, holds him in position, and then again lands. Kongo, no inbuilt defense for that. For me, this is a big part of the fight as well, how Mckinson worked when he wanted to. So you'll see here how Kongo looks to launch an attack and how Mckinson comes off at the angle. Beautiful feet moving laterally. Kongo stepped out in straight lines. Mckinson stepped off at the angle. He didn't step back in straight lines. He pickpocketed his moments when he wanted to attack, and when he didn't want to, he didn't engage. In this clip, you're going to see him ambush again. Macklin made a really good point. He gets a lot of stick, but he made a great point about how when Mckinson attacks, you see how he attacks this lazy jab. He saw the reading on it. Kongo kept doing it. Look how many times already in these brief clips he's caught him doing that with that lazy jab. He keeps putting it out there, doesn't take his head off line, and he's sitting right down that line of that left hand. But watch how Mckinson jumps in to close the leverage so Kongo cannot counter. Now you'll see here a good feint from Kongo, but he undoes all his good work. So you'll see he feints, he baits Mckinson into throwing, but he shifts too far back. He's too far back. He's not able to counter punch him effectively. He steps back in a straight line, and Mckinson's persistence and gets on the inside of those gloves, and he lands because Kongo stepped back in a straight line and is standing too tall. Let's look at it again. Lovely feint from Kongo, but you'll see I'll freeze it where I believe he does enough to be able to expose a counter punching opportunity. That's where he's got to make him pay. This fight turned into almost like an amateur contest. They were right in what they were saying. But again, Mckinson picks his moments, and it's those little pickpockets, those moments, that won him the fight. This was a big difference maker. Mckinson punched at different angles and different ranges more effectively. Kongo, a little bit too textbook for my liking. To many like Andy Clark, this looks technically awful and it's not technically a textbook and stuff like that. Well, the textbook fighter didn't win in this case. Joe Calzaghe, Billy Joe Saunders, James DeGale, you'll see these guys using these type of punches at times, these high looping, almost clumping shots. Right hook, long, left hand, but look at his leg position. He traps Kongo there and again gets himself out. For 1 second am I saying Mckinson is the next Billy Joe or Calzaghe or DeGale, but he is a real problem. A real problem in the domestic scene especially. I don't know where his ceiling is right now, but if he continues to develop, he's got some going because he understands the fight game, the professional fight game. He knows when to knuckle down. There's spite in him. He wants to punch hard. But when he wants to disengage, he will. He uses his feet, he gives you different looks. He can punch straight, he can punch up, he can punch under, he can loop it. He's got different types of shots, different looks. And what I loved was when his dad shouted to him, take his rhythm away, take his rhythm away. Like that. He took Kongo's rhythm away and he was back in the ascendancy. It was an absolutely wonderful performance. For a Sky debut, couldn't have got much better than that. It was just a fantastic display from Mckinson. As for Kongo, only time will tell. How bad a defeat was this? Is Mckinson as good as he possibly could be? Or is he just much of a muchness in this stacked welterweight division domestically? For me, I understand where Peter McDonough was coming from in his post-fight thoughts on his channel Voice from the Corner. It almost seemed like Kongo didn't want it as bad as Mckinson for me. The intensity from round 1 to 3 was different level. Mckinson clearly wanted it more. Kongo made some changes. He started to edge his way back into the fight, but he could never deal with those short range exchanges, those ambushes. He has to go back to the drawing board. He has to work on that. He's got talent. It's not a terrible defeat, but he's got to go back to the drawing board, and he's also got to show in those deep, dark moments that he's willing to dig down and get the victory, because I think he left too much to chance on the night. For me, he won a couple rounds, but surely in his heart he must have known that that fight was getting away from him, especially with the knockdown. Rounds 1 to 3, it was a shaky start. You got yourself back into it. You've shown some quality, but those final few rounds, I was expecting him to dig down and go for it, dip the knees and try and get some power shots off and trade up, but he never did, and that leaves me a little bit underwhelmed. But anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and definitely comment on how you saw the fight. And yeah, thank you for watching.